Hello everyone, and welcome back to our weekly 6-scale recap series, where we'll be looking at teases, pre-order announcements, releases for the week, anything newsworthy in the 1/6 scale world that might not merit its own video. This week started off with a great highlight from one of my favorite figure lines, which is the DAMToys Gangsters Kingdom series. But before starting and getting into the crux of things, have to go into my mandatory disclaimer. So, I'm not affiliated with any of these companies. I'm not affiliated with any resellers either, and I'm not using this as a sales post, which is why I don't post links for purchasing these. The purpose of these videos really is just to discuss interesting news posted essentially on social media that impact 6-scale figure collecting, and in particular things I find interesting or products I'm tempted to get for my own collection. And I do think once pictures go public for announcement, it's pretty much up for discussion. So, with that out of the way, let's jump right into things, and we'll start with teases. And first, I do have to clear up one small thing, which is the 22 Batmobile that Hot Toys showed. Following the reveal or tease that they had at their event, there was some concern, including by me, that Jazz Inc. had the lower foot bar on the side of the vehicle's door done incorrectly. In their early prototypes, they had shown the bar extending off a panel below the door, and looking at this great Hot Toys prototype, it's clear that the bar is actually supposed to attach to the underside of the chassis, which also makes the car look a little slimmer and sleeker. While I'm glad to note that Jazz Inc. provided a response to people's comments about that, noting that this was picked up prior to fabrication, and they even showed the following production image, which shows the footbar correctly placed with a thinner profile overall. So I guess I should have trusted Jazz Inc. to get things right, and it's nice to see that they're also being attentive to the details here. Question I think still remains, is Hot Toys even going to put this into production? At this point, I'm not sure, but at least I think the Jazz Inc. is going to be a really great version of that, and that's the one I have on pre-order. Now, next big tease is from InArt, mentioning the next figure they're ready to launch, and it is without a doubt Superman. Now, I think this is the Cavill version of the character, and I'm excited to see what InArt is going to do here. I do feel like Hot Toys never fully captured Cavill's likeness, so it'll be good to see if InArt can do better. Now, me personally, while I'm excited to see what it looks like, unless it totally blows me away, I doubt I'll be picking this one up. Just way too much on my plate right now, although on the plus side, the slew of Marvel delays may hopefully open things up a little bit and let me dabble into alternate lines. But really curious to see how this looks, and the base does look interesting with the Superman logo almost being encompassed by numerous Kryptonian looking designs. Also though, for me, with the Snyderverse officially coming to a close, I might hold off to see how the Gunn universe shapes up for now before jumping back into the DC line. Or at least going back on the DC line, because Hot Toys just dropped another tease, and it is for the Supergirl figure from the Flash movie. And if there's a figure I was waiting for other than the Keaton Batman, this was it. I think this is going to be a must buy for me. Tease looks incredible, so I'm hoping this isn't a case where Hot Toys is kind of just giving us something and then never releases. It looks like it's going to come soon, and I think she's going to look pretty good, especially paired with that Cavill Superman. So while I'm not going backwards for DC, I am definitely looking forward to picking up some of their newer releases. Now, moving on to announcements, and the highlight of the week for me is coming from DAMToys' ongoing Gangsters Kingdom line. I absolutely love the line, and while there have been some questionable choices or some issues, it still remains one of my favorite series overall. So their next figure is Joy, the 8 of Diamonds, and there's no doubt that this is the Gangsters Kingdom version of John Wick, and he looks stunning. First of all, the sculpts. They're that stylized version that we're used to getting with the line, but they look great, and the fact that we're getting two here is awesome. You're getting the slick haired look that's much more somber and serious, and that looks like Keanu Reeves in this stylized world. But the second sculpt you're getting is just as impressive, and it's a battle damage version with the disheveled hair and the cuts all over, and there's a lot of gorgeous detail work going on here. And I also love that they gave him a slightly different expression with his lips parted to see his teeth underneath. It's almost like an angrier or more determined grimace, so I love the sculpts. As far as the suit, this continues a trend with DAMToys, which is great tailoring. Suit looks incredible with nice texturing and includes his vest. I like that all black style here that really pops, and you are getting an option to purchase an alternate clothing set to give him a slightly different appearance. I like that DAMToys does this to give us a nice variety, but that suit just looks too good to switch out, in my opinion. And when you think of John Wick, it's that full suit version that comes to mind. But I did say it's an additional purchase, so smart of DAMToys to essentially give you the pieces you need to create a full second figure if you want, but we'll discuss that at the end. Now, let's talk accessories, because the base package is still pretty loaded. Besides the 2 sculpts, you're getting 2 pistols, both in different styles, as well as a nice unique looking shotgun. Now, with DAMToys, the weapons tend to be beautifully done with so much detail there, benefiting greatly from that experience they have with military figures. Now, what's really impressive here is that they're including this great looking wood case that can hold all the weapons, as well as spare clips and shotgun shells, and it also includes gold bars and the gold coins he has in the movie. So it's very much a recreation of that box he opens in the first movie when he gets his weapons basically out of the basement. I love the detail work on the box and all these pieces. Having these figures in hand, you can't help but be blown away by the level of work DAMToys puts into these. There's a lot to love in this line, even though it's not one you hear of a lot, but the detail on the box just looks awesome. So DAMToys here is giving us tons of options, and it's options to purchase different accessory sets that will allow you to essentially customize your figure experience, which is interesting, as that'll allow us to really get what we want without feeling like we have to pay for accessories we'll never use. So the first set is an additional body that includes a sweater and jacket. You also get a katana that has a bloodied edge. Fingers crossed they make the blade actual metal, because that would really make it pop. And while it's not shown on any of the promotional shots, one of the images does show these blood splatter accessories that look like bullet impacts. So I'm wondering if you're going to be able to attach them via magnets to the figure to create kind of like a Last Stand looking version of him. So at first I was kind of thinking I'd skip this, but then I thought this is actually a genius move, because if you remember the Vera figure, I actually had to find and buy a spare body for the alternate look. Here DAMToys is acknowledging that and letting you use that second sculpt they've provided. But that's not it. You're also getting the option to pick up a dog, which with John Wick absolutely makes sense. And these tend to be polystone sculpted material, but I always feel like DAMToys absolutely kills when it comes to these, and I've picked up almost all the animals they've done for the line. Now here I love the pose because it goes with the movie. First of all, it's an aggressive pose with the dog hunkered down, and you can see the great sculpt work, and I do like the detail in the tail with it tucked down. It just adds a little something different instead of your standard animal that's just standing. And of course the detail in the face with the teeth and the growl. It's a very dynamic pose and just looks incredible. But there's one more piece here that looks insane, and it's this brick pier that has these bullet time effects attached to it, basically giving the figure a place to seek cover while he's getting shot at. And you can see the effect pieces flying by. I love it. It reminds me of a 6-scale version of the effects that McFarlane Toys had when they released their Matrix figures to make everything feel dynamic and to match the bullet time effects. This piece just looks insane, and while it's simple, I think it adds to the figure. This line excels at providing these interesting diorama elements, and I always appreciate that DAMToys is giving you the option here to purchase just a figure, which is still a loaded release, or add in these extras that really are going to make him stand out a little bit more. For me, I'm all in for the set. Only accessory I've ever passed on with this line was the red alternate body that was put up for the Augustine pre-order. Just would never use that body as it wouldn't fit in with the rest of the line. But these accessories here, coming with Wick, they're just going to add to the figure and essentially let you get a full second version of him. So I'm all in, and I've already pre-ordered all of these, and I can't wait. Now, can Hot Toys finally launch the pre-order for the John Wick 4 figures? I'm not sure what the holdup is with those. Now, next announcement is actually something unexpected, and I'm still excited for, and it's coming from Sideshow, and it's another figure from their Clint Eastwood Legacy collection. Now, Clint Eastwood holds a special place for me when it comes to entertainment, whether it's his Dirty Harry series or his westerns. And that's particularly because my father loved watching these, and as I got older, I really appreciated them as well. So today I'm excited for this announcement, which is Harry Callahan from that original Dirty Harry movie, and it's a variant from the final scene in the final showdown. Now, it's not the first version that we've seen released by Sideshow, but I do feel like, at least for me, this is a much more distinctive look and one that's much more memorable. I passed on that first one, but don't think I can skip this release. Only thing that gave me a little pause was that it isn't a cheap figure, and it is being made by Sideshow. Now look, I have a bunch of Sideshow figures, including some of their G.I. Joe figures, their Indiana Jones series, and some Star Wars releases. Now those were older, but they weren't really on par with what we've seen from other 6-scale companies. Now this line definitely piqued my interest, but I ultimately ended up pre-ordering, like, for instead of the the Man with No Name, I ended up pre-ordering the Present Toys version of that, just because I wasn't sure about whether or not I wanted to go with Sideshow. But I will say that some people have gotten these in hand, and I don't think they look bad, so this one is really tempting. I think the sculpt is there, but it'll ultimately come down to the paint apps on the figure. And like with some third parties, I think once he put his sunglasses on, which look great by the way, but once you have those on, the figure looks incredible. Tailoring on the clothing looks good too. That's been another slight issue I've had with Sideshow in the past, basically the tailoring and the material choice. So hopefully that doesn't disappoint with this figure. I think it looks really solid, like a solid effort. And even the sculpt work on his shoes looks great. Then, of course, you do get his 357 Magnum and his San Francisco Police Department badge. And there's just something about this one that really looks impressive to me. Maybe it's just a promo shot Sideshow put together, but for a figure that's not going to be ultra dynamic, they managed to showcase some really great poses that really make him seem lifelike. Now, they are saying this is a limited release with an edition size TBD, so I'm not going to sleep on this one just in case it sells out. And then I'm just curious what else they're going to choose to make from this line, but a really nice looking release. And now our final pre-order announcement is coming from Exo-6, and they launched the Lieutenant Junior Grade Tom Paris from the ongoing Star Trek Voyager line. And look, again, this one isn't without its issues, and I 100% understand the concerns. Likeness for the figures can sometimes be hit or miss from Exo-6, and I had a quick exchange with someone on my 7 of 9 review, and one of the things we discussed was the likeness and how it's always close. And look, some figures are just home runs, but others not so much. And I think it ultimately comes down to paint app. The unpainted sculpts tend to look fantastic, while the finished product is where they take a hit. So hopefully Exo-6 can continue to improve. And look, I've noticed a big improvement in them after my first experience with their not great Janeway. By no means are these necessarily at the top of the market in terms of likeness, but they really are far from the worst we've seen. So for me, this is another pickup. I basically have the entire crew at this point, so I'm in for the rest. I think the real telling thing for me will be how Harry Kim turns out, which I've already paid for, and he's already shipped, so hopefully I'll have him in hand soon. Now, as far as Tom, he's more of a basic figure with the standard accessories, nothing super fancy, but I think the entire package is decent. Very much like Chakotay, and I would say Tuvok, but at least Tuvok included the phaser rifle. I think the key with this announcement is there are only 2 more main Voyager crew figures left, with B'Elanna and Neelix. So for me, we're closing in on the end of the Voyager crew at least. So I think pre-orders cut off for this one in about 2 weeks, and they're saying he'll be shipping in August, so another quick turnaround figure from them. Now next up, let's talk quickly about new releases, and both are from Hot Toys. The first one being the Loki from the TV show in his TVA clothing set. I'm really excited to get this one in hand, along with the Sylvie that just got released. I also have the other figures from the line on order right now, the President Loki and the Classic. So when all is said and done, it should be a really nice line of figures. And I think this one turned out as good as the Proto. I'll have to wait to see what he looks like in hand, but I have really high expectations. And credit to these bloggers because they're making the figure look really outstanding. And as an added plus, I think people who ordered him from Sideshow are already getting their notices, so looks like we'll be getting him in hand soon. So for me, I'm looking forward to having him, Sylvie, and Wanda all incoming in the next few weeks. And then the final release is also from Hot Toys, and as I mentioned, and it's their Star Wars Bad Batch Crosshair, who's the unit sniper. And look, I'm not a big Star Wars collector anymore, but this line was really tempting. To get a squadron of troopers that each feel so distinctive, I think was something unprecedented. Usually it's a slight variation, but these had a lot of character, and I think the final version of Crosshair turned out great. So I will be waiting to see people get these in hand, and I think Hot Toys is just churning out releases at this point. So another nice week in the books for 6-scale collecting. For me, the highlight being that DAMToys Gangsters Kingdom John Wick. And look, we're midway through June, so summer showcases should be coming up soon, which should be pretty exciting. But for now, let me know what you think about this week's news, and if there's anything else that might have piqued your interest. And as always, thanks for watching, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.